here.
Right. And ma'am, this was your original motion. Is there anything you want to say in addition to what you've already submitted?
As far as like right now, we're submit in writing. He never responded to my motion, just the petition.
All right. Anything else you want to tell me today?
Additionally, since the petition was submitted, I found out that his wife has a job and the children are home alone while both of them are at work.
Mr. Deal, anything you wish to tell me?
Yeah, I was served the papers on the 19th of September, and I only had 9 days according to the summons to respond. I'm currently retaining my lawyer, Chad, that I had from the previous custody hearing, and he's out for vacation this week. So I'm asking for a 2-week continuance.
What's your position about what happens with the children in the meantime?
They remain here and go to the school that they have been going to for the last 8 years.
What's the status of your felony charge?
Mental health court. It's, I guess, would be pending still until I complete the program.
So you've been admitted into mental health court?
Yes.
When did that start?
August 18th. And I've been fully compliant with what the court wishes. Just to add that in there.
All right, ma'am, anything else you wish to tell me?
I would just prefer it when I had my lawyer present.
And Ms. Cole, anything else you want to tell me?
I don't know if it really is either here nor there. He says he only had 9 days to respond. Process server stated that she heard him in the home when they were served. He refused to come to the door, so his mom was served, but he was aware.
Yeah, but it says on.
Okay, sir, Mr. Deal.
Yes.
You're not up to talk yet.
Sorry, Your Honor.
And ma'am, your visitation currently is Thursday till Monday?
Thursday through Monday, and then Thursday overnight, and then it's not until the following Thursday through Monday, and it alternates like that.
And how far apart are you two physically? How far away are the kids from your house?
From my house to his house, it's about 40 miles.
Okay. All right, I'll set the matter for October 26th. Pending that, we're going to maintain the current parenting plan. Ms. Cole is also entitled to regular phone calls if that's not happening already. And Mr. Deal, at the hearing on the 26th, we need to have proof of your status in the mental health court program. You understand that?
I do.
All right, 26th then at 9 o'clock.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yep. Is that somebody who's there?
Yeah.
I have to.
All right, sir, this is your motion. Anything you want to say in addition to what you submitted?
Hello?
Mr. Ash, is there anything you wish to say?
I guess I turned in my copy of my records to the court. They said you guys might not see them today. I have to meet with my anger management lady, Olivia Lovely, as soon as we're done with court today to go over my my test results.
Okay, well, I thought you were asking to drop the requirement of the anger management.
I already took care of that. I asked to drop that because of some financial things, but I've gotten a new job since then. I'm making payments on my anger management assessment. So I've already begun that. And I meet with her today after I'm done here at court to go over my test results.
And so what is it you're asking me to do now?
I guess I'm just in the process of doing all the paperwork and going through all the steps so I can start to see my son.
All right, ma'am, anything you wish to say? Ms. Ash? Anything you wish to say?
I think we were just, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I think we were just going through the motions at this point to get him on track to where he needed to be, and kind of making sure that he was following through with what he was supposed to be doing so we could start to do the parenting plan the way it was supposed to be done, into reunification counseling and whatever that looked like going forward, as he hasn't seen his son in 2 years.
All right, so it doesn't sound like there's anything that needs to actually be addressed today. Mr. Ash, given the amount of time that's gone by, obviously it's a good thing you're following through with the anger management, but I think that it's very likely that any judge is going to say that the best way to reestablish that relationship with your child is going to be through some some reunification counseling. So in anticipation of that, you might want to work with Miss Ash about setting that up so it's ready to go. Understood?
Yes. So we have that app, that Our Family Wizard. And so that's how we communicate. I guess after today, after I meet with my anger management counselor, I can start the process of, getting with her and going through this counseling.
I think that's a good idea.
All right.
That will be all today then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, Your Honor.
Ready, Your Honor. This is a matter that you set over a week from last week for the parties to complete drug testing. The parties have done that. Both parties filed results yesterday. Did you get those, Your Honor?
One preliminary matter, Ms. Acevedo had filed a notice of disqualification after the hearing last week. I've stricken that because I've already made discretionary rulings. I did see the test results for both parties. Both sides were clean. Congratulations.
Your Honor.
I'm happy to hear that. Yes, sir.
For the record, Stephen Swenson for the respondent, Cheyenne Acevedo. Can I speak on the drug test really quickly after you're done?
You're certainly going to have that opportunity. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Your Honor, this is a case where, my client primarily had the two children, and then Ms. Acevedo took them and wouldn't return them. He went to pick them up, and criminal charges ensued. She, was prevented him or was attempting to prevent him from picking up his children. Anyway, that's a mess. In the interim, you said that he would get, I think it was from Friday to Tuesday of last week. He had the children. He was raising the children. You see that in the declarations. They primarily lived at his residence. So going forward, we would like the children returned to my client and set up some standard visitation with Ms. Acevedo. In the alternative, they had, it's in the record, it's in his declarations and stuff, they were trying to work out a split custody arrangement. So, I mean, if Your Honor wants to go on that, until we can, go forward and get it further information, litigation regarding what's the best interest. I assume the court's going to want to appoint a guardian ad litem for these children to figure out their best interest. But at this time, our request is the children be returned to my client. In the alternative, that at least we do and it was a split arrangement that they had agreed to. So one party had 3 days, the other one had 4. and then the other party would get 3 days, and it would vice versa, back and forth. For on a 2-week period, they would each end up with 7 days. So that's our request at this time. Returning the children to my client and setting up some standard residential time with Miss Acevedo, or adopting what they were working on as an agreed parenting plan, or appointing a guardian ad litem, so we can go forward on this matter.
Mr. Clinton?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe I already stated my appearance for the record, but I'll do it again just in case. Stephen Swenson for the respondent. My client disputes that Mr. Crocker primary custody. When she moved out in December, she took the children with her, and he would get weekend visits. Also, Mr. Crocker has been dealing with fentanyl addiction. The drug tests, if you look at them, my clients, because she was accused of basically taking every drug under the sun, did a full 17-panel test and full test. If you look at Mr. Crocker's test, he didn't get tested for fentanyl. It won't show up on those tests. So basically, those tests are useless. I also see he recently got a haircut since last week. I believe he's trying to evade getting actually tested for fentanyl. We can submit more evidence. We have a recording that he recorded where he admits that he was taking fentanyl. I believe we can get the rehab records. We could subpoena them because he was in rehab for fentanyl use in August, according to my client. And if you saw the police reports, which we submitted, he grabbed one of the children, got in the truck with the child unsecured, and was going 60 to 80 in a 35 zone with my client in the back of his bed of his truck, and was eluding police. We have serious concerns about his addiction issues and about his decision making. And my client has been the primary caretaker since December 26th.
Mr. Ignacio?
Yes, Your Honor, we dispute that. The facts, and there's a criminal case pending. It does not include the children. He was trying to, there was no endangerment of the children. He wanted to pick up his children. Miss Acevedo, recklessly jumped in the back of his truck when he was trying to leave. But anyway, that's not before you. What's before you is the residential plan. With regards to the drug testing, fentanyl is an opiate. It's the major opiate, and his drug test included testing for, standard drug testing for opiates, and it was negative. But if they want additional testing, my client will submit to additional testing. Also, my client tells me they did not take hair from his head. They took it from his armpit. So that's what, his hair is exactly like it was last week. You saw him last week. He hasn't done anything to it, but in any event, it doesn't matter. They take it from other parts of your body. And he submitted to the drug testing. He'll submit to additional ones that they want if they want to pay for it. But he got tested for opiates, and it was negative.
All right. Well, first of all, my understanding of the hair test is that fentanyl would appear on an opiate test. If that is incorrect, and Ms. Acevedo wishes to pay for it, certainly she can have Mr. Crocker tested specifically for fentanyl. Counsel, what are each of your clients' work schedules, if any? Mr. Ignacio?
My client is self-employed. He's a self-employed painter. He paints houses. So he paints during the good weather, and now that lousy weather is, I think he goes on unemployment, but I'm not sure. Or he just lives off what he earned over the summer. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes, that's correct.
And Mr. Swenson?
Just to go back to the fentanyl test, I believe fentanyl is a synthetic opiate, so it doesn't show on opioid test.
So if I'm mistaken in that, please request the test.
Okay, we will pay for the test if he'll take it today.
That would be appropriate. Okay. And what's your client's work schedule?
Her work schedule, I believe since she's had the children full time, she has been just taking care of the children. She's not working.
All right. So we do need to appoint a GAL, certainly. And we need to get that going right away. All this is based on my current understanding which would mean that both parties were clean, obviously. If that is incorrect, everything changes. You know, my hope is both parties are doing considerably better than they were in August. That incident doesn't reflect well on anybody. And hopefully they're behaving a lot more appropriately since. We've got two very young children. So I think pending a GAL report, I am going to go with the 3 days, 4 days, then 4 days, 3 days. I think that's the best way to maintain the children's contact with both parents, given the age of the children. Should Mr. Crocker come back positive for fentanyl, then obviously all bets are off, and he's Ms. Acevedo is going to have the kids full time. And can the council, can you work out the times and locations for those exchanges?
I believe we can.
Yeah, I think given what's going on now, if we've got something that the parties are agreed to, that's going to be best. Mr. Anagnosto, do you think you can sort that out?
The exchanges?
Yes.
They are using her father, although they had they agreed to a substitute at the last exchange. I'm not sure who that was, but I think he's willing to either have his father, her father, or some agreed third party do the exchanges.
All right, I will leave that to council then to sort out the times and circumstances of those exchanges. Please note the matter back on if the UA result is anything other than what I hope it will be. And I'll leave it to council to get the GAL order in.
Your Honor, Amy Powers for the state. I believe we were also going to address child support today. These kids are both receiving TANF benefits with the mother. We had filed proposed worksheets on September 22nd. We imputed both parents at minimum wage 32 hours a week, as both parents were recently on the TANF grant with the kids. The father's portion of the grant ended in August, but the mother continues to be active on TANF with the kids.
Mr. Anagnosto?
Yeah, my client, I think he's been receiving food stamps on behalf of the children. I mean, it goes to show that the children were primarily residing with him. But as far as child support, I don't know that I've seen the figures, and on a split custody arrangement, there should be a residential credit. I know the court indicates, or the statute indicates, not when there's some TANF benefit, but being voluntarily unemployed at this point. I guess we're asking for on a split custody arrangement, either a primary residential placement to my client, or at least split between the two, and no order of support at this time until we figure this out.
Mr. Swenson, any position?
We don't have a position on that currently.
Ms. Powers, anything you want to
add? The statute's clear, you can't do a residential credit when the kids are on TANF, but I also understand the situation. If the court is more comfortable reserving on child support at this moment, I don't think I would object, as long as we can preserve the opportunity to come back and get back support.
I think right now that's just going to have to be a secondary issue. It can't remain that way for long, obviously. So we will reserve on child support.
Thank you.
And I apologize, Your Honor. What was the split? 3 days, 4 days?
Yeah, 3 days, 4 days, then 4 days, 3 days. And you want that on in 2 weeks for presentation?
That'd be fine, Your Honor.
All right, 26 at 9 o'clock for presentation of orders.
I'm here on behalf of the mother, Shauna Ray, Your Honor.
And do we have the petitioner?
I am here.
All right. And do we have Ms. Farr?
I don't see Miss Farr.
Ma'am, have you spoken to her?
Not this morning. I do know that she was aware that this hearing existed. I also have spoken with the father, Jason Chappell, and he is anticipating being here as well. And I don't see him yet either.
And I spoke with my client. I know she's been in communication with Miss Farr.
All right, well, let's come back to this one. We'll see if everybody shows up shortly here.
I'm here on that matter, Your Honor.
I'm also here on that matter.
Where is that?
Okay, whoever's got all the noise going in the background.
Thank you.
Can you unplug that, Nicole?
Miss Levitt, you need to shut off whatever's going on in the background before you get back on. Thank you.
I did. Sorry.
So Your Honor, to basically get up to date on this case, my client has been getting, I think, every weekend with child, and was looking toward a resolution kind of along those lines. But the father, Mr. Lewis, wanted court-appointed counsel, and I believe he has court-appointed counsel now, but I'm not sure where we're on that.
Mr. Lee?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, late last week, the court notified me that I was court-appointed counsel and for the father, and I've not yet spoken with Mr. Lewis about this matter, but it's my or Mr. Anagnostou yet. But here we are today, and I guess before we proceed, I was going to defer as well to Ms. Day and to have her weigh in along with Mr. Anagnostou further.
Okay, well, Mr. Lewis, why haven't you spoken to your attorney yet?
I just recently got full-time employment.
What's that have to do with it?
I didn't know that he was my attorney, so.
Mr. Lewis, it's time to be a little more proactive. I'm really disinclined to continue this and incur all the expenses because you didn't bother to call your lawyer. You understand that?
I understand.
Ms. Day, where are we?
So, Your Honor, I've been involved in this matter since March 7th. I've had exactly zero contact from father. He has not participated or been involved, and he's indicated his agreement up until the most recent hearing where the attorney was appointed. I'm a little concerned and confused why we continue to have to come back again and again and again for this. I've had some contact with mom. She's working with her attorney. She thought we had agreement. I think the only issue here is visitation. And I think it's appropriate for this child to have, some contact with his parents, supervised due to their circumstances. But I don't think we need to continue to come back and come back and come back. It's an extreme waste of time for the court's resources as well as everybody else.
Okay, the other issue we have got is we are strictly on the emergency guardianship. At this point, Mr. and Ms. Levitt, have you filed the petition for the full guardianship?
Yes, Your Honor, that has been filed, and today is I think the 21st day for that. That's why we set it over from Tuesday.
Okay. I don't have that one in front of me. Is that set for a hearing on that matter?
It was for today.
Yeah, yes, it is for today.
My understanding on main guardianship actions is that it requires going through the universal trial setting to set that matter for an actual hearing on what I call the main guardianship, the permanent guardianship part.
Yeah, and it doesn't show on my calendar here. Yeah.
I think that's accurate, Mr. Anagnostou. I think that this was filed and it was everybody's understanding that there was agreement until just a couple of weeks ago. So I think if we still do not have agreement based on the plan that was filed, providing visitation for the parents then I think we have to put it on the trial assignment docket if there's not going to be agreement.
And Ms. Levitt, is the other guardianship matter, the full guardianship, is that set for a hearing here in the near future?
I thought today was the day for that.
Okay, it wouldn't be on this calendar. When?
Yeah, today is for the full petition, and the emergency and the full minor, they're put in the same cause number.
Okay, yeah, I don't have. Okay. There we go. All right, well, given the vagaries of this statute and the way it's being handled, I see now that there is the full petition in here. I just did not see that before because I wasn't looking for it under the same cause number. And so, Mr. Anagnostu, that's proposing alternate Wednesday and Saturday for your client. Is that agreeable to your client at this point?
I believe so. At one point, she's there nodding her head. So,
Is that correct, ma'am? Ms. Barnes, is that agreed?
Yes, yes, Your Honor. That's fine.
Okay.
And I
So-
believe that's the same schedule for the father as the alternate of that.
And Mr. Anagnostu, so on behalf of your client, you're agreeing to that, the guardianship with that proposed visitation, is that right?
yes, that's the last conversation I had with my client. She agreed to that.
Okay, then here's what we need to do today. Ms. Levitt, we need the order appointing guardian that includes that visitation language as to Ms. Barnes. I'm not entering any order at this point as to Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis, you need to talk to Mr. Lee and you can request visitation time through this proceeding on a motion. You understand that?
Yes.
But if you don't follow through, nothing's going to happen. You understand that?
Yeah.
All right. So Ms. Levitt, I'm going to give you 2 weeks to put that paperwork, the final paperwork together. Do you think you have what you need in order to do that?
I have no idea. I thought I already did it.
I will help her make sure she has the final orders.
All right.
I think there's proposed orders in place, but I'll make sure that we go over them and provide them to all the parties.
All right. So
Thank you.
now we'll put this on for the 26th then for presentation of those orders to give you time to put all that together, ma'am. You understand?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Farr is in the waiting room for one of the matters, so she wanted me to let you know that.
Thank you. And Ms. Farr?
Yes, good morning, Judge.
Good morning. So where do we stand?
I'm sorry, I missed, if you called it first, I missed the beginning.
Oh, I'm sorry, on the Chapel matter.
So in Chapel, we have completed a couple of visits with Mother at the community house center where she's residing. Mother's had some issues there, but she's looking for somewhere else to move to. She's put in applications. The visits have gone well. The last there were two of them 2 weeks apart or 3 weeks apart. Mother was moved into a larger space that has 2 sets of bunk beds where she can.
Hang on, let me stop you for just a minute. I see Mr. Chappelle just showed up.
And so she's moved into a space where she can accommodate the children overnight now if the court wishes to start doing maybe an overnight. The children are excited to do that, from what I understand. I did talk with the kids, I believe yesterday or the day before. I know that the petitioner has some input on that too. She may disagree with me. I think that Mother is still struggling to take some accountability for the things that are going on and wants people to bend towards her instead of her trying to prove herself. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to report. Kids are doing well. They're in a lot of activities. I haven't heard from Father at all. But my understanding from petitioner is that father has relapsed.
Ms. Overby, what's your position?
I'm
here.
I would like to get a reoccurring visitation schedule set up for Miss Ray to be able to see the children on a scheduled visit. I know that there's a lack of communication between myself and Miss Ray. She's not using the parenting app. We had a mishap during one of the phone calls where I had left the kids' phone, but I had my phone, and I had no way to contact her to say, hey, please call my phone instead of their phone for this visit. As far as the phone calls have gone, she missed a phone call. One phone call went very poorly, and one call went actually pretty well, and one phone call went just okay. And so about 50-50 with the phone calls on Tuesday nights. Father has been very sporadic about his phone calls. I know that he is expressing interest in setting up some sort of in-person visitation. I feel like I need to see some clean UAs in order to accommodate that. We do have several proposed supervisors on standby, ready to go to be able to accommodate his visits.
Let me stop you just a second there, ma'am. Ms. Farr, are you familiar with the proposed supervisors at all?
I'm not for father.
Okay.
But I did want to add a couple things. So we did have the supervisor for mother, which seems to be working okay. And I agree with petitioner about using that app, because the mother is emailing me with a lot of micromanagement requests that I don't think I need to be involved in, and those things could be handled on her own if she did use the app.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. Overby, go ahead.
I know that with Miss Ray's visits, the supervisor has been open to meeting in the middle, like in the Chehalis Centralia area, so that there's less transportation for the children in order to have those visits be easier to accommodate. And I was hopeful that maybe me and the supervisor, or me and Miss Ray, could start setting up those visits ourselves. That way it's less of a burden on Miss Farr. Because the lack of communication really makes me hesitant to want, to increase visits at this time if she's not able to communicate and establish those things on her own. I know that she relies, very heavily on this center to maintain consistency. I do have some concerns about the center itself. The environment is quite terrifying. There are homeless and people who are high wandering all over around the building and in the parking lots around. I was scared out of my parking space while I was waiting to pick up the kids, because there were just a lot of people circling my car, and they went and got more people to circle my car. It was very uncomfortable. And so I am still very alarmed at the environment that they are having these visits at. And I would feel more comfortable at a park or a public library, somewhere in the middle.
Mr. Anastasia?
Yes, Your Honor. My client, Shauna Ray, is the mother of the two children. She is disabled. She's on disability. She struggled with housing. If you look back, this case has been going on for some time. She has resolved the housing by going into the community house. And I'm sure Your Honor is very familiar with the community house and the services that they provide for our kind of desperate citizens that need a residence. So she's in the community house. She has a case manager. She has regular UAs. It's an absolutely drug-free environment. They've set it up for a room for the children. She needs to move this along. She needs overnights with her children. Now, using this app thing is a new issue, and it's very irritating because Miss Overby, it tells you, "Oh, just send an app. We can work this out. We'll meet in Chehalis. Everything will be great." When absolutely the opposite's been happening. She has done virtually everything in her power to prevent my client from having regular contact with her children. It's been because she lives up north outside of Olympia. It's been a constant, my client not getting her residential time. And for one reason or another, my clients, tried to set up various visitations by agreement. That she had her oldest daughter, her granddaughter was having a first birthday. She tried to arrange something there that got squashed by Miss Overby. So Miss Overby is in a former relationship with the father of the child. And we think she is doing being an obstructionist to basically so that he at some point can get out of his drug treatment. It's our understanding he is failed out yet again of another inpatient program and is using again. But nevertheless, she's going to do everything in her power to obstruct my client for the benefit of her former boyfriend or the former significant relationship they had. So that's where we are. We need to move this along. My client is in the community house now. Ms. Farr mentioned something about my client, not liking it there, wanting to move out, and basically making it sound like she's unstable. So what's going on is she's looking at a Oxford house. And I might have got the name wrong, but it's one of the drug treatment houses where they cater to women with children. And she has applied and is in the process of potentially moving into one of those programs that help women, but she has to have custody of her children to get into that facility. So she's in community house. She's regular UAs. She's working on herself for the betterment of the children, but she gets all sorts of issues regarding telephone contact isn't occurring, and we've had problems with that, and we think part of it is on the petitioner's part because she listens in to the phone calls. My client tries to have private conversations with her children, and it just doesn't happen. And so here we are. My client doesn't have a vehicle, but the community house has said they will transport her to further these arrangements, to further her contact with her children. So potentially she could meet Miss Overby halfway, but we want overnights. We got to move this along. We need to start on a Friday through a Sunday overnight, and the community house is perfectly fine. She can say all the disparaging remarks she wants about the community house, but they are providing a service for our downtrodden citizens who would not otherwise have housing, and it's drug free. They have services for my client to take advantage of, to try to get a resume put together, try to move into transitional housing, like one of the Oxford houses or Phoenix. I mean, maybe that's what she was looking at, the Phoenix house. Yeah. But that's where we are. She needs her children, regular contact, long-term contact. They want to be with her. She wants to be with them. We need to move this along, and it's just taken too long. And part of it, we believe, is because Miss Overby is being an obstructionist, because ultimately she wants the children to stay with her, and potentially get back with with the father or not. We're not sure what her plan is, but up until this point, it has been very difficult, and we do not want to rely on just email me and we can work this visitation out. No, Your Honor, you need to set it, and she needs to comply with it, because at this point, my client has found it very difficult to maintain a relationship with her children, given the distance and given Miss Overby's reluctance.
Miss Ray, you've applied for Phoenix House, is that right?
I am today applying for the Phoenix House. However, they have asked me that they have told me that I need a reunification letter, and
Okay, so you haven't applied there yet, is that correct?
I have to today. There's 4 rooms available.
Okay, ma'am, Just answer my questions, please.
No,
So you have not yet applied at Phoenix House?
I
Okay.
am.
And my recollection is Phoenix House is short-term. Like 30, 60 days, something like that, isn't it?
No, it is
Ms.
housing.
Farr? Ms. Farr, do you know?
I actually don't know what the maximum amount of time is, but it is short term.
Yeah, it's some kind of short term, whether 30, 60, 90.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Chappelle, are you there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there anything you want to say?
Just that I would like to have visits, and I agree with Miss Overby.
Okay, well, as to Mr. Chappelle, sir, we'll consider any request for contact once you can provide clean UA and hair test. You understand that?
Yes.
All right.
And a hair test?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So, Miss Overby, you've been driving the kids down from Mason County for the visits at this point?
Yes, Your Honor. I also feel it's important to note that the children have always resided over half of their time in Mason County. It is their primary residence, with Cowlitz County being their secondary residence.
And Your Honor, just to clarify, the transportation that's been offered by the community house, that is for day visits, not for weekend visits. They weren't offering to do a drop off and pick up. They were just offering to meet her halfway for a day visit.
I don't believe that's correct.
That's what was relayed to me.
Well, I've talked with the community houses. They'll drive her up on a Friday to pick up the kids, and they'll drive her up on a Sunday to return them.
Okay, no one has talked to me about that.
All right, well, here's where we're at this point. We've dealt with Mr. Chappelle's contact. The distances involved make this difficult, and frankly, the onus shouldn't be entirely on Miss Overby. She's taking care of kids without getting any support from either parent. So I'm not really inclined to make things more difficult for her. I'd like to make things much less difficult for her. Miss Ray, you've got to start participating in arranging all this, and it's not going to go through Miss Farr. I don't want to keep paying Miss Farr because you don't want to email with Miss Overby. Understood?
Understood.
Okay. I'm willing to at least take a stab at some overnights, that not for the weekend, just one night overnight. It's while Miss Ray is at community house. I don't know Phoenix House's resources in terms of having children there with her. They may or may not, I just don't know. But I don't, from what I recall, that's not really part of their remit. So I'm concerned about that. So while Miss Ray is residing at community house, I think we can go to one overnight during the weekend. And I'm going to leave that to Ms. Ray and Ms. Overby to sort out based on when Phoenix House is available to do the transport, because I want the exchange to take place in Chehalis so that it's somewhat less of a burden for Ms. Overby. So Ms. Ray, you're going to have to take the initiative, talk to the people at Community House, figure out what's available, and you're going to have to communicate with Ms. Overby to set that up. Understood?
Can.
And we'll continue to have the telephone call visit as is, but again, it's your burden to make sure that that set up, you need to go directly to Miss Overby and not through Miss Farr. Understood? All right, Miss Overby, any question about that?
Not a particular question. Can I request that it goes Friday night until Saturday evening so that the kids can continue their play? Braden has a lead role in our community's Christmas organization, and the rehearsal times are from 1 to 5 p.m. on Sunday.
On Sunday?
On Sunday.
Yeah, it should be set up to accommodate that. That seems, I'm sure that's
Thank you.
important to the child. But I don't know what resources or times or restrictions Community House is going to have. So I just asked the two of you work together and work with them.
Perfect.
To accomplish that.
And then, Your Honor, then the parties will just give me an update on how that's going, correct?
Yeah, and at this point, I think I'm not going to schedule another hearing. We'll give that some time to work, and if anybody thinks things should be moved forward, moved back, they can note it back on.
And so, Your Honor, will that be every other weekend?
My understanding.
I would like it to be every weekend.
Every weekend, yeah.
Okay.
But my other concern would be, as I said, Phoenix House, I don't know what they do or don't allow other than it's short term. Ms. Ray, I would strongly urge you to speak to some of the local Oxford houses. There are several Oxford houses for women with children who have them or don't have them for substantial periods of time. That's a much more stable, long-term option. They've got a lot of rules. Sometimes a lot of rules are a good thing.
I have a lot of rules here.
Yep, I know that you do. So, you know, I'm not saying anything bad about Phoenix House. It's a wonderful program. I don't know what their position is about dealing with visitation with children. I do know it's not a long-term option. So you might want to take a look at the Oxford House.
Okay.
All right. And Ms. Overby, anything else in terms of the communication that we need to address?
I think that every weekend would be a lot for not only me, but the children. Since these visits have started occurring, Braden has been acting out much more in school. He frets about the visits. Like, I really don't think every single weekend. I think every other weekend is a better way to transition into this.
All right, Ms. Farr, any comment on that?
Well, I was suggesting to start with every other as well, and maybe then we could work up to every, like maybe after a month.
Your Honor, we would like.
We've only had 2 visits so far.
We would like every weekend, Your Honor. This is my client and her children. And this is what's been going on is there's been just an obstruction with my client getting reestablishing her relationship with her children.
All right. Well, in the interest of the children and them not being overly stressed about this, that's where I've got to consider that first and foremost. So let's start with every other weekend. When was the last visit?
Last weekend.
Okay. So, and that'll give everybody time to get it set up for a weekend after this, for the overnight. And that'll also give the kids some time to kind of take that all in. So we'll go to alternate weekends at this point. And as I say, as long as the parties are agreeing on how things are going, it's up to them to expand it if they want. If either side feels that they can't reach an agreement, they're free to bring it back, but I won't schedule another hearing right now.
Your Honor, I have, there's 2 more things that I just like to bring up. One is just to clarify that when I said that Ms. Ray was looking for other placement, that was a positive comment because she is having some issues. It wasn't a comment about instability.
I took it as a positive one.
Okay. And the second thing is Ms. Ray has been asking me some questions about some gifts that she has for the children that she wanted to address the court about.
Yes, ma'am.
That I've accumulated over a period of time, and some things were already theirs. that I just wanted to show them, give them more things to do here. And I have to ask the court to do so. So
just shoot Miss Overby an email with what you got. Ma'am, if there's a problem, you two try and work it out. If you can't work it out, let me know.
okay. And this is every other weekend, 1 day a week.
Yes. And then the phone calls continue.
Okay.
All right.
Is it supervised overnight?
It's if it's at community house, I'm comfortable with the supervision they provide just in the regular course of things, and we don't need to add any. If if it's an Oxford house, kind of same thing. If it's Phoenix house, I just don't know what they do or don't provide. So you'll need to provide that information to Ms. Overby, and like I say, if you guys can agree, great. If not, bring it back.
All right. Thank you.
And Your Honor, the children would stay in the facility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. All right, that will be all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And
Ms. Holder here representing Mr. DePriest in this matter, Odin's grandfather.
okay, and we don't have proof of service on the father at this point, it looks like.
We have served him. We have the order signed. The order was signed on the 22nd, and we did email him per the order, and we're just waiting for the proof of service to show up on the court's system at this time.
All right.
And Your Honor, would you like an update on how this is going so far?
Yes, counsel, go ahead.
Okay. I've spoken with Mr. DePriest this morning, and he let me know that Ms. Howard has been coming on Wednesdays and Saturdays, usually about 2 to 3 hours. One Saturday, she was there for about 5 hours. It appears that things are going well so far. Odin is also doing well in school. He seems to be pretty happy. From his information, she's still at the whatever sober living home she's currently at. We would think that things are going very well at this point. Miss Howard has indicated to Mr. DePriest that last she heard, Mr. Joel Showden, was possibly at a homeless encampment in Falls City, Washington. So that is a little bit different than what we've heard before, which was North Bend. They're still very close, but we do have that order, and we have served him via email. I have not heard any response from him yet. We understand that Miss Howard also has a criminal pretrial hearing on October 31st for first-degree trespass and second and third-degree driving without a license, with a trial slated to be on November 7th. So we would like to bring that to the court's attention. Mr. DePriest is also letting me know that while the visits are going well, she does call on Sundays, and those calls, she seems to just not acting erratic, but her speech patterns would indicate that she might be having some mental health problems. I would assume that at the sober living facility, she is being drug tested and drug tested frequently. So we would ask that if that is the case, that those records be shared with us so that we can ensure that she is remaining drug free.
Mr. Anagnostou?
Yes, Your Honor. My client, again, similar to the last case, is struggling, and she is in the community house. So she is getting regularly drug tested at the community house. It's a drug-free facility. This is the first I've heard of potentially some mental health issues. She does have these criminal charges that she's working on. But she's doing the best she can to maintain a relationship with the child, and things are going well with the relationship with Mr. DePriest. From her point of view, she would like to start having the child over at the community house with her for some visits.
Ms. Day?
Yes, Your Honor. So I have finally had a chance to meet with mom in person. I did meet with her at Community House. She had her substance use evaluation scheduled, and I'm waiting for that documentation. If that is provided and indicates that she is clean and sober, because I have not seen any of the UAs from Community House. If she is clean and sober, I have no objection to her having visits at Community House for day visits on the weekends and continuing the midweek at Mr. Dupree's home, if that's, continues to be workable, which sounds like it is. But I do have, this is very new, and there's been a long history here, so I don't want to rush that. But I don't think she's a danger to the child if she's clean and sober and perfectly safe at the Community House for day visits on the weekend, if we can get some substantiation of that, and I've yet to get that.
And are you aware whether or not she's engaged in mental health services?
She had an evaluation schedule. I don't know if she started those services yet or not. I haven't gotten any response from her from our meeting, which has been about 2 weeks ago.
All right, and Mr. Anagnostou, do you have good contact with your client?
I do.
Okay, so it sounds like she needs to touch base with Ms. Day.
About the mental health evaluation?
Yeah, and the drug evaluation as well.
I'm sure she has drug evaluations through the Community House, but yeah, we can.
I would assume that,
There's UAs through the Community House, but her treatment is through Core Health. And that's the information that I need is I need to see that evaluation, what the UAs were, et cetera.
Core Health eval. Got it.
All right, and Ms. Holder, any objection to the visits at Community House, assuming all is as it should be?
We would have no objections to that, Honor. Our priority is making sure that Odin is safe while he's with his mother, wherever that might be.
All right, so with that noted, council, at this point, it looks like I can strike this matter and leave it to council to note back up. I don't see any need for a further interim review.
Okay.
Any objection?
No.
No objection at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Day.
Thank you.
Your Honor, yes, this is my motion to be discharged as the court-appointed attorney for Jeremy Murphy.
Go ahead.
I submitted the motion. I provided it to you. I have basically a conflict with representation of Mr. Murphy and asking it to be discharged as the court-appointed attorney for him. And I've submitted my fees, which are under the amount that was the court had set aside for this case.
Are you of the opinion that Mr. Murphy continues to need counsel?
I believe he needs counsel. I don't know if he would cooperate with appointment of new counsel. I don't know.
Okay. All right. I will allow you to withdraw. And if you'll submit an order, I
believe that's the order.
Oh, thank you. Well, I do have the order. Pardon me. I will sign that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And counsel, anything else we need to address today on this matter?
Yes, Your Honor. Donald Esom.
Yes, sir.
I'm also court appointed for Ms. Shannon Murphy, who's on the Zoom call today. I filed the last minute motion declaration order for withdrawal. My client has terminated my services and wishes to have other counsel represent her at county expense, of course, by the court. So I don't know if you want to hear that today. It's not timely. I didn't receive any objections from anybody. If you could, I don't know if you have the order there in front of you. I did submit it and they said they got it. So
okay.
I'm assuming
it's not back here yet, but so I can find it. So Miss Murphy, what's your position?
I agree with what Dawn is saying.
All right, well, there's two parts to that. One is whether or not I should allow him to withdraw. The other is whether or not you get another court-appointed attorney. So if he's withdrawing because you don't like him and you're not happy with how things are going, frankly, I'm not inclined to appoint another attorney to represent you.
I like Don very much. He's a very nice man. I didn't, there was some issues last time we had court and they didn't get, excuse me, they didn't get addressed. And Don acknowledged that in his withdrawal notice. And I appreciate that, Don.
All right, well, then sounds like I better wait till I can get a look at that and see exactly what's going on. So we'll address that next week.
Okay, set over
All
1
right.
week then.
Okay, 19th then to address Mr. Esau's motion.
All right, very good.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just for the record, I'd also
Yes.
like to let the court know that Ms. Murphy is asking that I no longer be involved in the case either. So I just want the court to be aware of that.
I will take a look at it. All right, thank you.
Your Honor, I apologize to add again.
Yes, ma'am.
Casey Looney on behalf of the state for child support. I don't know if you wanted to address the issue that was brought up last time regarding state benefits, or if you want to wait until next week for that.
Sounds like we better handle that next week when we sort out the rest of the procedural issues.
Thank you, Your Honor.